welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Pemi and I'm so glad you are doing life with me. Before we get started, I want to get the formalities out the way. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel, that you switch on the bell and you don't miss out on any other videos. And at the end of this video, if you liked it, like it. And with that, let's get started. Is about 3 emotions: regret, guilt, and gratitude. I have been dying to speak about these because I think a lot of people don't understand the difference between guilt and regret and use them interchangeably when they actually aren't the same thing. And gratitude is a superpower, and I want us to really tap into it and help build lives that are more fulfilling and more beautiful and more true to who we are by tapping into gratitude. So if you are keen on learning more about these emotions, then stick around. Okay, we are going to start off with guilt. What is guilt? How do we process it? And how is it helpful? Well, guilt is the emotional discomfort that we feel when we've either done or haven't done something that aligns with our values. So either by doing something or not doing something. Guilt is what we feel when we know that we did not show up as the person we perceive ourselves to be or claim to be. Guilt is a regulator. It's a sobering feeling. Guilt is useful because it's the kind of emotion that helps us course correct. Without guilt, we would live outside of our values and not know our way back home. That's why guilt is important. And I would even go as far as to say feeling guilty is important because it means you are mindful and you are constantly aware of your values and how you are navigating your way through this world and your life. If you are not attuned to who you deeply, truly want to be and are working to be, then it's so easy to live outside of your values and not be able to navigate your way back. Guilt helps us do that. It helps us bring ourselves back to our truest, most beautiful, kindest, loving selves. I want to make a quick distinction, but it's a very important one. A lot of people who experience shame mislabel it as guilt because they're not clear on the difference between the two. I want to make that very clear so that moving forward, you know whether you're shaming yourself or if you're feeling the helpful emotion called guilt. Shame is a focus on self, a focus on identity. Guilt, on the other hand, is a focus on behavior. We feel guilty about what we've done or didn't do. But the moment we start feeling bad about ourselves, that's when you know you're shaming yourself. So the difference between the two, shame is, I'm such a screw up, while guilt is, I really screwed up. Very different. I am a screw up, I screwed up. This one is more helpful. This one is what you can fix. Calling yourself names, talking badly towards yourself, saying, oh, I'm so stupid, I'm so stupid. That's not helpful. And that is shaming. But saying that was a really dumb mistake. The mistake was dumb. You're not dumb. And that's what we need to remember when we are feeling guilt. We shouldn't allow our guilt to permeate into shame, because once we get to shame, then that's a whole nother baby. There's mountains of research. My absolute favorite storyteller and researcher, Brene Brown, has done so much work on shame. So if you want to learn more about shame, I recommend that you just search Brene Brown and shame, and you will see her TED Talk, and you will get a better understanding of what shame is. Shame is debilitating. We don't need more shame. We need more compassion. We need more guilt. We need more recognition that we're living outside of our values so that we can course correct. Next up, let's talk about regret. Let's talk about regret. A while ago, I tweeted a quote that I got from Brene Brown that I agree with 300%. And she was saying, a life without regret is a life without reflection. And a lot of people were like, what? Some people agreed, others didn't. But I want to unpack why I strongly agree with this quote and why you should too. Okay, so first, let's talk about regret. What is regret? How is it different to guilt? And why is regret useful? Why is a life without regret a life without reflection? So regret is the emotional recognition that we've made a mistake. That's regret. It is not this big, bad, ominous feeling that is supposed to swallow you whole, that you are supposed to not feel. It's the emotional recognition that you've made a mistake. Now, in the past month, have you not made any mistakes? And when you make a mistake, recognizing that mistake, wishing you could have done better, wishing you hadn't done it, or wishing that you could redo, that wishing is regret. That acknowledgement that that was wrong, or I shouldn't, that's regret. But because we live in a society that is so emotionally illiterate, feelings like guilt and regret have gotten such a bad rep, when actually these feelings are such good navigators. All feelings are navigators. They're messages. They are telling us, yes, you're moving in line with your values. Oh, that is not where you want to be. Yes, stay here, stay grounded, stay low. Emotions are constantly telling us where we are, where we need to be, and if we are moving in the right direction. But if we allow ourselves to buy into the stigma and dogma and nonsense propaganda that only some emotions should be felt while others are ignored at all costs, surely we will not be living our lives fully and experiencing everything we should feel. Because life is not about just being moderately happy. It's about being boldly happy, being wildly happy, being passionate, being excited, being enthusiastic, being madly in love. But all of these beautiful, bright, big emotions are accompanied by tough, grueling ones. And those emotions, those ones that we try so hard to avoid, they make the sweet ones all the more sweeter. And I'm not trying to glorify struggle. No. Emotions, hard emotions aren't actually struggle. Struggle's a completely different thing, and maybe I'll unpack that in another video. I'm talking about feeling everything that your body is bringing up. I'm talking about showing up completely human. And in order for us to do that, we must allow ourselves to be able to feel what it feels like to make a mistake. To feel what the emotional response of a mistake is. And it's regret. And you know what? Feeling regret won't kill you. In fact, it brings out a better you. Regret is felt in retrospect. Because when you look back and you recognize that this was a mistake, that's when the regret kicks in. But also what kicks in is clarity that this line of action is actually not where my truest self is. When we recognize that we've made a mistake and we feel regretful, we are also aware that certain behaviors do not align with our truest self, do not align with the kind of people we want to be, or the kind of way we want to show up in the world. Brene Brown says regret is a function of empathy. It is a call to courage and a path toward wisdom. It is not the hammer that, brings down the self-esteem and makes you feel bad about yourself. No. In fact, when you start spiraling into negative feelings about yourself, then that is a great big red flag, and that is telling you that you have entered a shame zone. Like guilt, regret helps us course correct. It shows us when we have moved out of, the path of our values, when we are not showing up the way we should show up. And it also helps us change behavior. If you regret something, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to do it again. And if you do, you're self-sabotaging, which is a different conversation. The reason why I love the quote, "A life without regret is a life without reflection," so much is because it is fact. When you reflect on any part of your life, even if you reflect on the past week, you can pick up a mistake. And if you don't regret a mistake, then are you like a sociopath? A life without reflection, without looking back, without, seeing things from a different perspective, is a life without regret, because more times than not, we will always see things that we could have done better. And regret also, what's great about regret is it just shows us that there's room for more growth, there's room for more love, there's room to be more courageous. And that's all it is. I'm gonna make such a simple example. If you look back at work you've done, and you see something that you wish you could correct because now you're seeing it in a different light, and if you change that one thing, it will be so much better. You feel that little bit of regret, like, I wish I had seen it, That is not negative. And that's why I say regret has a bad rep, because people think when you feel regret, then automatically it leads to a low self-esteem, beating yourself up. When you start beating yourself up, you're no longer feeling regret, you're feeling shame. Regret is not shame. It's not self-flagellation. It's not grief. It is just acknowledging that something could have been better, and you could have made it better, and you didn't. So, damn, that's regret. I hate the saying, no regrets, just lessons, just whatever. Because it's like, you only learn the lesson because of the feeling that says to you, that was a mistake, and that feeling is regret. I don't understand why our society is so hell-bent on trying to convince us that we can grow without feeling emotions that help us grow. Trying to go through life without regret means going through life without ever seeing an opportunity to be better, to show up better, to do something better. Means going through life perfectly, because there's nothing to improve. If you can go through your life without a single regret, it means you've done everything perfectly. There's nothing for you to improve. And I seriously doubt that. I think each and every one of us are improving day by day because of the regrets of our past, because of these tinges of, I could have been better, I could have been braver, I could have been softer, I could have said something for myself. So small, quiet moments of regret that help us show up better, that help us love more, say something, stand up for someone, take a second look, hold our tongue. It's it's those small moments of that's regret. And I don't think we should go through life trying to avoid regret, trying to avoid our inner voice or our body saying there was an opportunity for you to show up better and you didn't take it. Next time, take it. And last but not least, my favorite emotion, gratitude. Gratitude is a superpower. If you want to feel happy, dig into gratitude. Gratitude is the emotional and spiritual recognition of your blessings or of your favor or of grace. Gratitude is all about contentment and thankfulness in the moment. Gratitude helps us consistently realign. Gratitude brings us back to the moment. It brings us back to the here and now. It takes us away from a past that we cannot change and a future we have no promise of. It brings us into the present moment so that we can acknowledge and we can enjoy what we do have. It is the reason why I say gratitude is a superpower is because gratitude incites so many other beautiful emotions that make life so worthy. Gratitude creates awe. Gratitude creates love. Gratitude creates happiness. Gratitude creates appreciation. The more gratitude we have in our relationships, the stronger the connections become. Because the more grateful we are for what people do for us, the more we want to do for them. That's the thing about emotions like gratitude that are birthed from love. It just keeps giving and giving. The more grateful you are, the more grateful you become. You know, like you don't run out. It's like empathy. The more empathy you give, the more empathy you'll have. And what I also love about gratitude is it's contagious. You know, when you are centered in gratitude and you are just appreciating everything in your life, and sorry, before I go back to it, gratitude does not mean your life is great. Right? You don't have to wait for XYZ to be grateful. You don't have to wait for something to happen in order for you to be grateful. The fact that you're alive right now, the fact that you have someone that loves you, the fact that you have a plan, dreams, goals, and you are physically able to go after what you want to do for your life and for yourself, that is something to be grateful for. The fact that your soul is still in your body and is still experiencing this thing called life, that's something to be grateful for, because not everyone is that fortunate. And I read something on Twitter. Someone said comparative gratitude is the worst of all. I don't know. I haven't actually come across comparative gratitude before. Like, I've come across comparative suffering where, you'll say, it's not that bad. So let's say maybe your laptop crashes and a friend loses their job, and then you feel bad about feeling sad about your laptop crashing because someone else has it worse off, so they deserve more empathy than you because your problem is smaller than theirs. That's comparative suffering, and there's no room for that because there's empathy for all situations. But I haven't heard of comparative gratitude, and I don't know how it works yet. I think it's something that I'm actually going to try and see what I can read up on, because I don't know how, comparing maybe your situation to someone else's and then saying, hey, you know what, but I'm grateful. I think something we need to be very realistic about is also that comparison isn't only negative, right? Comparison is also a form of survival that human beings picked up at a primitive stage. Now, obviously, at this point in time where things have gotten flashier, people have gotten more materialistic, and money is running the world. Yes, that has led to an excruciatingly disgusting culture of constant comparison and competition, definitely. But we mustn't forget that before all of this mess, there was a need for comparison. Comparison is usually a field of measure to help us benchmark whether or not something is at the standard that it's supposed to be at that given time. Comparison helps us gauge. Comparison is like a benchmark, and benchmarking is good because how do you improve? Through comparison, right? It's only when comparison becomes excessive, and once comparison is rooted in fear, that's when you know you've got a problem. So to cut a long story short, I don't know how like comparative gratitude can be rooted in fear, because if it is gratitude, there's no fear. Gratitude is a product of love. Now hear me clearly. If there's any fear attached to your gratitude, it's not gratitude, because gratitude is a product of love. There's no scarcity. There's no, trying to put somebody or else lower than you so you can be higher. That's all fear, and that's not love, and that's not gratitude. So I don't think comparative gratitude is a thing. I don't think it's gratitude at all. So how do we cultivate more gratitude in our lives? Well, I am going to just name a few things that I think can help you to be more grateful and cultivate the habit of gratitude in your life. So the first thing is gratitude journaling. So in the evening, you can just take stock of the day, write down 3 to 5 things you are grateful for that day. Number 2 is saying thank you out loud. Thank you has this effect on us because we understand what thank you means. It also has an emotion, like a physical, our body has a physical reaction to thank you. So learning to say thank you more and more helps us build gratitude, because when you say thank you, it registers in your mind that there's something to be thankful for, and that creates gratitude. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You don't even have to be saying thank you to someone. So for example, like when I'm walking and the sun is blazing and then the clouds kind of cover the sun, I say thank you, because that for me is just Mother Nature showing me love, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for the shade. You can also be thankful after a good meal and you just feel so filled. You're like, thank you. Thank you for the body that received such a delicious meal, and thank you for the fact that you had a good meal in the first place. So learn to say thank you more. And then number 3, my last tip to cultivate gratitude is to practice mindfulness. You can cultivate more gratitude when you are aware that there's things to be grateful for, when you are aware that something good is happening to you, and you can only really feel that, wow, something amazing is happening to me when you are here to feel it. When you stop living in this future that you keep building, but you're not in it. If COVID has taught me anything, it's that the future is just but a wish. And ours is to live every single moment like the gift it is. And in order for us to appreciate these moments and this time that we have to be here for it. And that will help us build more gratitude. Now that we've unpacked guilt, regret, and gratitude, do you feel like you understand these emotions a bit more? And have you had a change of heart about guilt and about regret? I hope so. I hope you came into this open because what I want to really stress is all our emotions are meant to be felt. Some emotions are much harder than others, but it doesn't mean that they should be avoided. Our emotions carry messages, and when we miss those messages, we miss the whispers of our lives. And I think it's such a disservice to ourselves to not be listening consistently to our inner voice, to our truest selves, and to our life. Oprah likes to say, our life is consistently speaking to us in a whisper, and the more we avoid it or the more we don't listen, then it comes back louder and louder until it's a big old thump on the head. And you don't want to have that. You don't want to get to the point where you are missing out on opportunities, you are losing people in your life, you are staying stuck and not realizing your potential, all because you are just not listening to your emotions and to your life. And also, I think it's really important for us to know that if we are struggling with some emotions more than others, there is help. Therapy is important, especially in the Black community. I really encourage each and every one of you, if you feel like there's something you need to work through and heal from and you don't know how to do it yourself or by yourself, then please consider therapy, because there is no honor in suffering, and there is also no honor in dying silently on your own. So that's it from me, Miss Feel Your Feelings. I'm still here with the same message: feel your feelings so you can show up as your whole true self, so that we can be fully human, fully vulnerable, and fully in love with ourselves and with our lives. That's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to like it. You can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter, and with that, bye bye.